Jimmie Johnson will be racing in the NASCAR Cup Series in 2026. Several O'Reilly Series drivers have found their homes for the 2026 season, and I have my final power rankings for the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season. Welcome back to another episode of Talking NASCAR. I'm your host, Andrew. Hope your week has been very, very good. It's been a pretty much almost a full week since NASCAR Championship weekend in Phoenix Raceway, so I've had a little bit of a time to kind of relax and kind of cool down from the 2025 NASCAR season, but I'm ready to do an episode here on this Saturday, November evening, I could guess you could say. The sky and daylight are fading quickly where I live and overall probably across the United States. Daylight is very limited nowadays. So, overall, in this episode, I don't have very many big stories that I want to cover. Mostly, these are just some little stories that have been emerging throughout the week. I have some lawsuit news as well. Mostly nothing really crazy. There was one big update that I do have to share about that, but mostly it's been some legal proceedings and other things as well. And some silly season in the NASCAR O'Reilly Series. I can officially start calling it that because the Xfinity Series is no longer racing anymore. So it is the NASCAR O'Reilly Series. But before I get to all their silly season, we have to talk about the Truck Series for one quick minute. Tyler Ankrum announced that he will be returning to the 18 truck and McAnally Hilgeman Racing in 2026. Tyler Ankrum, fresh off his first appearance, I think it was his first appearance in the Craftsman Truck Series Championship for the Final Four in the Craftsman Truck Series. So Tyler Ankrum had a really solid season with McAnally Hilgeman Racing. I believe broke a 2-year winless streak, if I'm not mistaken. So very good season for Tyler Ankrum. And Tyler Ankrum is a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series veteran at this point. And at this point in his career, I'd be very shocked if he kind of moves up any higher. He kind of has found a home in the Truck Series, kind of like guys like Grant Enfinger, Ty Majeski, Ben Rhodes. Guys with really good sponsor support behind them, they kind of find this home in the Craftsman Truck Series. So this may be where Tyler Ankrum kind of stops. He's kind of fallen off as a NASCAR prospect, but still Tyler Ankrum still has a lot of talent, and being that he just went to the championship four, I would find it very hard to believe if McAnally Hilgeman Racing did not try to bring him back at least for one more season. And again, brings a lot of sponsorship money with Liuna on board that truck, so not bad to have someone that pays the bills and can get you to the championship four every now and then. Moving on, Dale Earnhardt Jr. announced on his podcast, the Dale Jr. Download, that Carson Kvapil will be full-time with Junior Motorsports in 2026. However, he will not be full-time in the one car. He will be still continuing to split that ride with Connor Zilisch. But Dale Earnhardt Jr. did in that podcast episode say that there are options for Carson Kvapil, not only in the 88 car, because Raja Caruth isn't racing there full-time. He did actually confirm that Raja will be splitting time between Junior Motorsports in the 88 car, but as well be racing for Jordan Anderson Racing in the 32 car as well. So Raja will be full-time in the Xfinity Series, but not with a full-time car. Same with Carson Kvapil. And the reason for one of these moves is that Carson really wasn't putting up the results that Junior Motorsports wanted, but after he got to the Championship 4, that kind of told them that, hey, he probably should be there full-time once again. And so this is maybe kind of starting to bat down the rumors a little bit more that Carson Kvapil may still have a ride with Penske for next season if Penske does want to eventually move him up to the Cup Series. And another reason that Carson will not be full-time in one car is due to contract obligations that Junior Motorsports has. I believe that maybe would just be with Connor Zilisch and his deal and sponsors that Connor Zilisch has with his partners. So I imagine that's the reason why. I don't think Dale Earnhardt Jr. elaborated very much on that. So very interesting, but it's good to know that Carson Kvapil will be racing full-time once again. Carson Kvapil was one of the most consistent drivers in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. If not for Connor Zilisch, I think Carson Kvapil would have been a pretty easy Rookie of the Year candidate pick because he was obviously very, very consistent. Made it to the Championship 4 with Junior Motorsports, but did not look like he had a lot of life in his car on Saturday night last week, about a week ago actually, was the championship race. So there's that for Carson Kvapil, but I really hope that he can continue to elevate his game. If he can get a win next year, that would be really impressive. Build off his rookie season, which I thought was very, very good. But I think he needs to prove that he can win if he does want to continue to move up in the ranks of NASCAR. But good to know that Carson Kvapil will be racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series full time in some capacity next season. Moving on, Parker Retzlaff also announced his full-time ride for the 2026 season. He announced that he'll be driving for Viking Motorsports in 2026 full-time. So for Parker Retzlaff, I believe this will be his third different team in 3 years in the NASCAR O'Reilly Series. I should correct myself with that there. But this is a very interesting decision by Parker Retzlaff. This season with Alpha Prime Racing, his first season there in the 4-car, wasn't exactly a pretty season. Didn't have a lot of speed in his in that car compared to last year with Jordan Anderson Racing in the 31 car. But I believe that the reason that he's kind of moving over to Viking is one that Parker Retzlaff does bring a little bit of sponsorship support. I mean, Matt DiBenedetto lost that seat full-time midway through the end of the year, about midway through the end of the playoffs. I think Connor Mozak picked up the last couple races for Viking Motorsports, and it was all because Matt DiBenedetto did not have enough sponsorship. I mean, for many races, Viking Motorsports were just rocking out that Viking theme on that car. So Parker Retzlaff automatically brings an upgrade from that standpoint. And Parker Retzlaff is a little bit younger than Matt DiBenedetto, still has a lot to learn. And at one point, I think Parker Retzlaff was considered to be a pretty highly touted prospect in NASCAR. Right now, his stock is kind of plateaued a little bit. He will need to kind of prove himself again if he does want to continue moving his way forward in the NASCAR ranks. So I'll be very interested to see how this partnership works out, because Viking Motorsports, this was their first season on their own, split from RSS Racing, where they originally started, Ryan Sieg's team, and Ford. They moved over to Chevrolet this season. I believe they had an alliance with Richard Childress Racing in the Xfinity Series, if I'm correct, but that did not really look like it really had a big impact. I do remember seeing something that maybe that relationship was kind of cut after a couple weeks. I could be wrong, and I could be just remembering wrong as well, but I'll be very interested to see how Viking does next season with Parker Retzlaff, who again is significantly younger and does bring a little bit more sponsor support than Matt DiBenedetto. And speaking of Matt DiBenedetto, I hope that he gets a ride somewhere. At this point in his career, just judging it based on how many times he's lost his ride, he clearly can't bring enough sponsor support, and I don't know what his future means then. He might just be going back down to the Truck Series, making some select starts with some teams. So I'll be very interested to see where Matt DiBenedetto's career goes from here, because he's kind of at a career crossroads once again. And one final story from the NASCAR O'Reilly Series. Yesterday, Hendrick Motorsports announced that Corey Day will be driving for their number 17 car full-time in 2025. So the 19-year-old from California will be jumping over to NASCAR full-time for the first time in his career. Corey Day, Hendrick development driver, has had HendrickCars.com on his trucks and cars in the starts he's made this season. He made starts in the Truck Series with Spire Motorsports this season. He also made starts in the NASCAR Xfinity Series for Hendrick Motorsports in that 17 car. So it wasn't surprising that Corey Day was going to be driving in NASCAR in some capacity full time. I didn't know where. I mean, Spire, it seems like they're kind of restructuring their team. They just lost Raja Karuth right now. I think all they really have may just be I really don't know if they actually have any full-time drivers right now in that Truck Series operation, if I'm correct. And I think they might be selling off some equipment to Calling for their truck program. So I'm not really sure what direction Spire's going with their team in the Truck Series right now. So this is definitely going to be interesting for Corey Day. He's going to be jumping up into the Xfinity Series full-time with Hendrick Motorsports. I mean, the expectation for Corey Day will be pretty soon into the regular season that he's going to be contending for top 10s, top 5s, maybe even wins every now and then. Corey Day, a very accomplished dirt track racer out in California. That's really kind of his bread and butter. We've seen Hendrick Motorsports and other teams do this with other dirt racers like Chase Briscoe, like Christopher Bell. Kyle Larson was a very successful dirt racer, now transitioning into stock car racing. So I think this Corey Day is most likely going to be the next guy up for that potential task. So I'll be very interested to see how Corey Day does next season in that 17 car. And again, should be one of the most competitive cars out on track in 2026. So we'll have to wait and see how Corey Day does in the NASCAR O'Reilly Series full-time next season. And before I move on to some other stories, Trackhouse Racing announced yesterday that they would be making some changes to their Cup Series side of things. First off, it was confirmed earlier this week that Brandon McSwain will be taking over Ross Chastain's pit box next season as the crew chief. Phil Surgeon is out. Brandon McSwain, a former engineer at Hendrick Motorsports, working with that 17 car, actually, I believe, as a crew chief. And he also has been working with Junior Motorsports a lot recently, I'm pretty sure. I believe he also filled in for William Byron when Rudy Fugle was not being able to show up for some races. So Brandon McSwain, NASCAR veteran in the industry, now going to be transitioning into a crew chief role, replacing Phil Surgeon. So Chastain and Brandon McSwain are really the big changes for next season. Or I should say that Brandon McSwain is the only big change for the one car next season. Now moving into the 88 car, it was announced that Connor Zilisch will be piloting that car. The 99 car is no longer there. So Connor Zilisch, who was previously announced to replace Daniel Suarez in the 99 car, will now be driving in the 88 car along with Randall Burnett on the pit box. And for Shane Van Gisbergen, he'll be moving from the 88 car over to the 97 car, a number that he has been well known to be using by himself and his family back in supercars racing. So he will be continuing to working with his crew chief of Steven Duran, and now will just be on the 97 car. So kind of reshuffle everything. The 99 car and Zilisch will be now driving the 88 car. That will be kind of like the number change. And then SVG will be moving from the 88 car with Steven Duran over to the 97. No more 99 car. Very interesting. I did not think that Trackhouse was going to do this, but the 99 car has kind of been a staple in their Cup Series for a couple years now, ever since their kind of emergence. So this was definitely a very interesting announcement, but seems very logical. I mean, Shane Van Gisbergen, his number kind of resonates with his family and himself more than the 88 car. And then Connor Zilisch, I mean, he ran the 88 car in the Xfinity Series for Junior Motorsports, so I guess it makes sense on multiple levels. Moving on, earlier this week we had the NASCAR award ceremony, which I believe were held in Phoenix Raceway a couple days after the championship on Sunday for the NASCAR Cup Series. The most popular driver awards were given out. I believe Raja Karuth, Justin Allgaier, and Chase Elliott took home the titles for the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series. That moment I can call it the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series most popular driver awards. And I believe some of the other awards, I believe Mike Joy won an award as well as a broadcaster. Kyle Larson, Jesse Love, and Corey Heim were all honored as their respective champions of their respective series. Mike Joy did win the Myers Brother Award, and Kate O'Neill won the Betty Jane France Humanitarian Award. And the Comcast Community Champion of the Year went to Daniel Dye of the NASCAR Xfinity Series. And again, that time I can say it as the Xfinity Series. And as well, Shane Van Gisbergen, Connor Zilisch, and Gio Ruggiero all received their respective Rookie of the Year awards as well. SVG winning it in the Cup Series, Connor Zilisch winning it in the Xfinity Series, and Gio Ruggiero in the Craftsman Truck Series. They were all honored at the awards banquet as well. And also, Jesse Love had a pretty emotional speech. His emotional championship speech was very emotional for Jesse Love. And once again, I want to congratulate him. And same for Corey Heim, Kyle Larson on their championships. Kyle Larson winning his second, Jesse Love and Corey Heim all winning their first Craftsman, all their first NASCAR championships in their careers. Moving on, we got to talk about Denny Hamlin real quick. There was a little bit of speculation after his dramatic defeat in the NASCAR Cup Series championship race on Sunday if Denny Hamlin was going to be racing in 2026. He did say that he plans on returning to the 11 car next season, but he's going to be taking some time to really kind of digest and kind of look over his season, kind of just take time to process it all, were his words. So I'm not surprised. I mean, that defeat at Phoenix was absolutely brutal, and I have more to say on that actually before I end this episode. So I'm not surprised that, given that what Denny Hamlin went through on Sunday, it would be hard to say, or just it would be really like stupid to say that Denny Hamlin wasn't feeling any sort of emotion. So I get it, Denny Hamlin. I mean, everything that's been going on behind the scenes with the health of his father, the lawsuit going on, owning a race team. He had a new baby enter the world in his family only very, very recently this season. So lots of things that Hamlin's been able to having to manage, and for all of that to happen and coming up so close, but just not being able to get the NASCAR Cup Series championship, it's going to take a lot out of you, and it's going to be very hard to kind of process it all. So hopefully Hamlin will be back to racing in full strength next season. I expect it. I expect Hamlin to be back there, and he still has 2 years left on his current new contract that he signed with Joe Gibbs Racing. I do expect Denny Hamlin to probably honor that. He won't do a Carl Edwards, which he'll lose the championship in dramatic fashion and then just retire out of nowhere. I don't expect that to happen. So I expect that from Denny Hamlin. But hopefully Hamlin will be back next season with a vengeance. And if I know Denny Hamlin, I mean, we should all be worried and kind of crossing our hearts and just praying that Hamlin doesn't completely destroy everybody next season. I don't know how I forgot this, but on my notes, I forgot to mention that Jimmie Johnson will be racing in the San Diego race in the Cup Series next season at Naval Base Coronado in the 84 car for Legacy Motor Club, the 84 Toyota with Carvana once again on the car. For Jimmie Johnson, this was kind of speculated once we heard that San Diego was going to be on the schedule next season. Jimmie Johnson, a Southern California kid, was born very near to San Diego, and it was kind of speculated from the beginning, once again, that he probably would be wanting to contend in that race or compete at the bare minimum. I shouldn't say contend because Jimmie Johnson really hasn't contended for anything since his return to NASCAR. But good to see Jimmie Johnson back in the seat for 2026. I believe he made his 400th career NASCAR Cup Series start this season with Legacy Motor Club. I want to quick Google that to make sure it's correct. Oh man, I was polar opposite off. Not 400. I'm thinking of Casey Mears. Jimmie Johnson has 700 career NASCAR Cup Series starts. So he just hit 700 back at the Coca-Cola 600 earlier this season. I don't know. I have no idea what I was thinking I don't know what was going through my head when I was thinking about that. Holy cow. Next, we have to talk about the antitrust case. Earlier this week, 2311 Racing and Farmer Motorsports announced they would be dropping a part of their lawsuit. And as reported on by Bob Pockris, the teams are dropping the Section 1 of the Sherman Act, which is the focusing on the contracts and the required acts, I believe. It's more so referring to NASCAR and ISC working together to monopolize a market, according to Bob Pockris. But Section 2 will be covering everything about NASCAR being a monopoly in stock car racing. So they will be continuing to work with that or continue to use that claim heading into court. But the teams have dropped Section 1 of their lawsuit, Section 1 of the Sherman Act, I should say, with the attorneys of the team saying that this is an attempt to streamline the case ahead of the trial, apparently. And finally, yesterday, Rick Hendrick and Roger Penske, it was announced by Racer, theracer.com, that Rick Hendrick and Roger Penske are seeking to not be deposed in the antitrust case, or at the bare minimum be seeking limits to the testimony they are to give. And this is supposed to protect their own company's financial records and everything, but they will still be wanting to go up in front of the jury and give their testimony, but they want to impose some guardrails on their testimony so that they don't have to expose anything that would provide any financial records to their teams and their private companies. And the two owners are also looking to avoid any more involvement in this. They just want to, if they have to, be ones to testify or provide a testimony in the antitrust case at the trial and not have to give up any of their private business records for their teams as well. So I find this interesting. I mean, I guess this shouldn't be surprising. I mean, the teams have not been wanting to be involved. At most, they've provided statements saying that we want this lawsuit to end. We want the charter system to continue. We don't want things like this to go away. We want this to stay. We don't want very much to change because, I mean, they were ones that didn't really want this to change. They signed the charter agreement for that matter. So I guess this isn't truly surprising. We're just going to have to wait and see how any of this works out. I believe there is a quote accompanied with this filing. It's quote. I don't know who this is from actually. It says quote, in keeping with the adage that no good deed goes unpunished, movants find themselves quickly and without much warning in the unenviable position of being offered to give expensive and unnecessary deposition testimony as a result of wrangling between the parties to a lawsuit that should have been settled long before now, the motion states. Did I say expensive? I meant expansive. Expansive and unnecessary deposition testimony as a result of wrangling between two parties to a lawsuit that should have been settled long before now. Okay, I think I got it all right. We're just now going to have to wait and see how Rick Hendrick and Roger Penske will be involved in this lawsuit, if at all. Now, one more thing before we move on to my power rankings. I actually saw this online when I was scrolling on social media and some other NASCAR websites and motorsports related websites. I saw a post that said that Kyle Larson probably is the most deserving champion, being that he scored the most points out of everybody in this entire season. He may have not had the same amount of counting numbers as Denny Hamlin did, like he having the most wins on the season, but towards the end of the season, Kyle Larson had very solid average finishes, while guys like Hamlin and Briscoe continued to have mechanical issues and continue to fall down the order. So I shouldn't have been maybe so critical of Kyle Larson's championship. Hindsight is, I guess, looking back on what I said on Sunday last week, just based on what I guess earlier this week maybe. So I guess I shouldn't have been so critical of Kyle Larson, being that he did score the most points. And I guess I was kind of arguing for Hamlin because he really did just kind of step up in the biggest moments. But that's kind of what the playoff format does promote, I guess, drivers stepping up in the biggest moments. And that's what Hamlin did. He wasn't necessarily the most consistent. I point to Martinsville and Phoenix, where he made the wrong strategy call. And I guess what happened at Phoenix is just what happens in NASCAR. Anything can happen on any given Sunday. Pit strategy and everything may be out of your control. So I guess that's something to note. And I maybe should be a little bit more generous and maybe not so harsh on Kyle Larson in the playoff format. I was rooting for Denny Hamlin. I really wanted him to see him win. I think that would have provided a really good story. But Kyle Larson, still a really good story. 2 career championships. I mean, I can't say that's not a good thing to have on your resume, not like these guys need it. So I thought I'd just kind of talk about that because that was something that kind of stuck out to me, that Kyle Larson may have been the most deserving champion if NASCAR was running the full season points, which I'm kind of starting to lean towards a little bit more, rather than a altered playoff format, which I have a new kind of proposal for that and a new idea on that, which I'll probably share in another episode, either tomorrow or probably next week. So you'll hear about that very, very soon. So thought I'd share that. Larson probably is the most deserving champion. So once again, congratulations to Kyle Larson. Tough luck to Denny Hamlin on his championship run. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our final segment of the episode. To round out this episode, I have my final power rankings for the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season. So let's, for one final time, rank the top 10 fastest drivers and teams in the NASCAR Cup Series. Starting out at number 10, I have Ross Chastain. Ended his season with a 13th place finish. Overall kind of ran outside the top 10 for a little bit of the day. Was in the top 10 briefly, but was mostly kind of a 15th to 10th place car. So Chastain last week at Martinsville also had some pretty solid speed as well. And then at Phoenix as well also had some pretty solid speed overall. And he did win here, I believe, in Blaney's championship season in 2023. He kind of played spoiler a little bit. So Chastain, really good end to the season. We'll see how he can build off this heading into 2026. But I have Ross Chastain at number 10. At number 9, I have Ryan Preece. And late in the going, Ryan Preece did not look like he was going to be getting a top 10 result, but he finished in 9th after playing a little bit of pit strategy along with his teammate of Brad Keselowski, who I was very impressed with. I don't believe I have Keselowski on my power rankings here. I couldn't really squeeze him in. I did have Preece in here from last week at Martinsville, so I feel like having Ryan Preece in here feels pretty fitting. So Ryan Preece with a 9th place finish, really good end to his season. And we forget how well Preece kind of ran overall this season. Almost made it into the playoffs on points, but kind of fell off as the playoffs went on. But all of RFK had a pretty solid day, with Keselowski in 2nd and the Buescher in 12th. So Ryan Preece at 9. At number 8, I have Joey Logano. finished his season with a fourth place finish. Penske's been very good on these short flat ovals, was pretty solid last weekend at Martinsville. Talladega as well kind of got caught up in a wreck, but still had a pretty good day overall. So Logano, really good end to his season, kind of showed some speed towards the late end of the going, so I have Logano at 8. At number 7, I have Chase Elliott. Started pretty mid-pack a little bit, was working his way up to the front, actually led a good amount of laps, started to fall off a little bit as Hamlin and Blaney and Byron all started to get a little bit better, but Elliott finished in 10th, pretty solid result at the end of his season, won the most popular driver award again, so I guess that should be a little bit of bonus points to keep Elliott at number 7. But moving on, we have Christopher Bell at number 6. I'm just trying to kind of fly through these a little bit more. Bell finished in 11th. Wasn't the most impressive day out of Christopher Bell. I was expecting a little bit more, being that Christopher Bell was the defending Phoenix winner from the spring, beating Denny Hamlin with a pretty big and epic last lap coming to the line. So I feel like that's pretty worth mentioning, but kind of disappointed by Bell overall. Kind of sticking at 6 right now. Didn't really have a really good car. Kind of finished outside the top 10. Didn't really compete for a top 10 position really much all day. So that was very interesting to see. But I have Christopher Bell in the number 6 spot. Moving on to number 5, I have his teammate of Chase Briscoe. And Briscoe towards the end faded a little bit, finished in 18th, but this whole weekend Chase Briscoe was just having the wrong setup. I mean, the tire pressures were not it. I mean, Chase Briscoe I think he had like 3 flat tires on the weekend, so he finished in 18th. Didn't really have the car he needed to win, so that was a little bit disappointing to see. But Briscoe, still a dream season with Gibbs, his first season with Gibbs, makes it to the championship 4, and his first season has a couple wins, so really good season from Chase Briscoe overall. He's still going to be building off this momentum heading into 2026. So he'll be at number 5. At number 4, I have William Byron. Again, the finish doesn't reflect what William Byron did in this race. He did everything he could to win the championship, but towards the end of that race, pushed it a little bit too hard, had another flat tire on his car, hit the outside wall, actually brought out that last caution. I believe he led the second most laps behind Hamlin, and then his teammate of Elliott was in 3rd, and Blaney led the 4th most laps. Byron led to the green on the front row, really good qualifying position. Just at the end, got a little bit unlucky with that flat tire, but Byron still overall had a really, really good season. Moving on to number 3, I have Ryan Blaney. He picked up the win at Phoenix, which we kind of expect. Actually passed Brad Keselowski off turn 4 to get the victory, something that isn't going really getting enough spotlight, because Blaney at the end made a pretty good pass for the win, beating Keselowski, led the 4th most laps, led 20 laps out of the 312 laps that were run. So Blaney had a really good race, won another Phoenix race. Just imagine if he was in the championship 4, man. Like, imagine what this would have been. Imagine that kind of championship race. So Blaney at 3, really good season. Moving on to number 2, I have Denny Hamlin. If Hamlin did win the championship, he would most likely be at number 1. At Phoenix, started on pole, led the most laps, had the fastest lap of the race, just didn't execute on one restart. Maybe took the wrong tire strategy with 4 tires, maybe should have taken 2, kept that track position. You can go over the what ifs, but still overall, Hamlin ran the best race he could have, just came up a little bit short, and sometimes that's NASCAR for you. So Hamlin, really good season. He'll be coming back with a vengeance next season. I already know it, and we may be in trouble if Denny Hamlin fires off at the same speed he did at Phoenix next season at the Daytona 500. So I'm very excited to see what Hamlin can do next season as the oldest full-time guy in the NASCAR Cup Series. So Hamlin at 2, just short, and he of course is behind the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series champion of Kyle Larson. At Phoenix, started in 3rd, finished in 3rd, had a couple issues, had a tire failure, got caught back in traffic, but Cliff Daniels, the crew chief on the pit box, called the right strategy, took 2 tires, a pretty risky play, but Larson on that final lap able to roll that outside was very impressive to say the least. And overall, towards the end of the season, I know he didn't win any races, he's still on a little bit of a losing streak, but Larson racked up the most top 10s out of anybody in the NASCAR Cup Series in those final races in the playoffs. So Kyle Larson, while not flashy, was extremely consistent. Maybe taking some notes from his teammate of Chase Elliott. Maybe he's taking the notes saying that you don't have to win every single race, don't have to be up front every single race. You just need to finish them with really good results. So maybe he was taking notes from Chase Elliott. You never know. But there you go, my final power rankings for the NASCAR Cup Series season. Once again, Kyle Larson is at number 1. 2, I have Denny Hamlin. 3, Ryan Blaney. 4, William Byron. 5, Chase Briscoe. 6, Christopher Bell. 7, Chase Elliott. 8, Joey Logano. 9, Ryan Preece. And 10, Ross Chastain. But let me know down in the comments where your favorite driver maybe ended up on the list, where if maybe someone else should be on this list or off this list. Let me know down in the comments section below. But that will do it for this episode, everybody. Quick little recap of the news from this week, and we ended it with a really good segment of power rankings. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did and you're listening on YouTube, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It would really help out the channel, get it growing once again. And if you're listening on any other podcast platforms, make sure you hit that follow so you don't miss another episode of the show. And if you did enjoy the show and you have done all of that, you've gone back and liked and subscribed, followed the show, go listen to some of my other shows that I've done on this, some of the other episodes I've done on the show. Holy voice crack there. That's embarrassing, guys. I swear, I gotta have those stop at some point. I really, really hope. So yeah, once again, go check out all those episodes. I got 60 plus episodes that you guys can go listen to. And as well, go check out Talking Sports with Miles and Andrew. It's the other show I do. I co-host it with my buddy Miles. We talk about sports overall, not just NASCAR. So if you're into that more than this, or you just like sports a lot more than NASCAR, you want baseball, football, basketball, we talk about that all over there. So go check it out. It'll be Talking Sports W, Miles and Andrew on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Go check it out. It's really, really cool. But that'll do it for me on this show, Talkin NASCAR with Andrew Volkman. I'll be back very, very soon with another episode. So until then, have a great rest of your day. Have a great week, and I'll see you then. Bye.